and all of his theories and etc., etc. And you start thinking, oh, I now have an enlightened view of God, and all that old clapping and shouting and stuff my mama and them be doing at church. That old stuff is silly and crazy. And I'm too smart. And I want to be like somebody else, and so I don't want to be doing all that old stuff. I don't even go to church, because it don't make no difference whether you go or not, because I know a whole lot of people who don't go, and they doing just fine. See, that's a lie you bought. Amen goes right there. And there are a lot of you sitting here who feel just like I just expressed. I'm not joining them fools. It's like they are hypnotized. An opiate, a drug, a controlled substance. It's got them out of their mind. That's a lie that people learn. The folk at church are being manipulated and managed. They're being led by the nose and by the ear, being bled. People giving up all that stuff, going up there. It's just a racket. It's a hustle. That's another lie that you didn't hear at church. It's a lie you learned somewhere between home church and maybe at school, around school. Because school is an amoral institution. They're required not to teach right and wrong, just the facts. But there are no facts without right and wrong. Because some things are right and some things are wrong. That's another lie we buy. It ain't no right and wrong, it's just facts. No, there's truth and facts. Facts change and the truth don't. The truth is, you may have been 15 last year, but the fact is you're 17 now. But the truth is you're getting older. See, your age changes, but the truth don't. What's the truth? You get older every day. What's the fact? I'm the age I am right now. See, all facts ain't truth. It was a fact in 2012 that it was 2012. But the truth is now that's still a fact, but it ain't the truth. I wish somebody was paying. If you were paying attention, I'd see a different look on your face. That's how I know you ain't listening. Ain't no way you could hear this and just. Because a light has to come on somewhere. And go, wow, that makes sense. I don't care who's saying it. It's amazing how we can buy a lie. Doesn't matter the age of the person telling it. When they tell the truth, you know, we don't want to listen to old people. Well, what do you think Russell Simmons is? Old as me. And real close. But he tell a lot of lies to people. And because he still got on his cap and his jeans, you're going to eat hip-hop. Hip-hop, he can't hardly hop. Russell old as your granddaddy. But you see, we don't have a problem with age when they're telling us a lie. It's just when they truth telling. Well, they too old. They can't communicate with us because we old, we young. I can give you a list of old G's you listening to. But we'll buy a lie from an old person. Just don't want to hear truth from old people. A lot of the people you revere now, they never thought they'd make 40, but they're in their 40s, on the way to 50. We have been victimized by a lot of lies. Anybody want footnotes? Don't have time now, but I'd be happy to tell you. If I said somebody lies, I can tell you some lies they told. So don't get mad with me. Just ask. First lie is about God. We can talk about that later. But whole lot of lies. We got to listen to truth wherever it comes from. And don't buy a lie no matter who it comes from. But the idea that religion just dupes people, uses people, drugs people, make them out of their mind, make them walk in lockstep without thinking is an untrue. It is not a lie. The idea that you have no intellect when you're under the influence of the Holy Spirit is another lie. You don't lose your mind because you follow God. You find your mind when you follow God. You're not lost because you're in church. You're lost when you miss church. Some people will tell you you can't be intellectual and spiritual because there's a collision between what is spiritual and what is intellectual. Not so. The next lie is intelligent people are not religious. Oh yeah, that's why a lot of people want to look like nerds and geeks, sit up and look like they sleep. When they come to church, and time church is over, they got a mouthful of a whole lot of nothing to say all the way home. Because they feeling nerdy and geeky and smart and intellectualized like they smarter than all the stuff we saying, which is why they pay no attention now. And why you'll be going to get them from somewhere soon. Intelligent people are not religious. Another lie. And people start to absorb that belief system. Your kids start to believe that. They'll start telling you, they don't go to church, Mom. How come we got to go? I know people don't go, and they doing all right. They nice people. I got some friends, and their parents don't go to church, and they good people. They treat me okay when I go visit. Some of you have been told that. You've heard that. Why I gotta go? I don't like it. They talk about it. They want me to feel negative about myself. Intelligent people are not religious. Who's ever heard of the human genome map? Anybody ever heard of that? It's a map that scientists have been working on, a map of the human anatomy from the inside. And they've assembled this chart that describes and defines every chemical, every element that is in the human body. Everything, a consortium of scientists have been working for a long time on this, and there are more than a couple of million pieces to the puzzle. But the person who leads it is Francis Collins, a gentleman named Francis Collins. And he's led the work on the genome map that shows where aging is located and what activates aging and what activates your nose size and what turns on the gray to start coming out in your hair at the time it does. It ain't the age, because people get gray at different ages. It's something in your body. But a group of scientists have taken years to chart all of this. But let me tell you what Francis Collins said when they got the map together. He said this. He said, when I look at this map, I know that men are no accident. When I look at how God has things so orderly, so structured, and so organized, I know we didn't come as an explosion from a boiling pot of protoplasm. I know that we didn't just evolve from a lower species. God knew what he was doing when he put this map together. So everybody is subject to the same laws in this map. There's something that deactivates your calcium in females at a certain age. There's something that turns it on, that lowers the calcium and makes your bones more fragile. It's not an age, it's a chemical in your body that at a certain point, the switch just goes on. But the man who pulled all this together said, when I look at this, how could I doubt that there is a God? And you sitting around here thinking you got it going on. Well, if they so smart, you can't be a good Christian and be smart because, you know, God ain't with that. And I'm trying to be somebody special, and I can't spend all my time in church. I got to study. That's somebody who bought a lie. What lie did they buy? That intelligent people are not religious. Anybody here think you're intelligent? Anybody here love the Lord? Well, you already know that's a lie. You're intelligent and you're religious. So how can it be that intelligent people are not religious? They're not into God. You can't be smart and godly. You can't be sanctified and intellectual. You can't be holy and successful. You can do all of that. Matter of fact, your holiness will dictate your successfulness. You can give me your little bit of examples of little bitty people who've been rich a year, 3, 4, or 5 on their talent. But you can't show me in the long run because Psalms 1 says something different. It says your prosperity. When you don't meditate on his law, when you're not close to God, it says whatever you earn is going to be like the little petals on wheat that wind comes through and just blow it off the stalk. It won't last. It can't last. Look, in your short lifetime, all the people have been famous who ain't famous no more since you've been alive. I mean, you 17 and you going, I wonder whatever happened to. That means in your short life, it's been time for people to come and go, have it and lose it. Don't buy the lie and don't believe the lie. Stop living by the lie that you can't be intelligent and be in love with God. Because your intelligence will point to somebody behind order. Because there's something about science that says behind every effect. Where are my scientists? Y'all looking all nerdy and geeky when we shouting around here. Where you go, geeks and nerds and scholars? Where you go? What happened to you? Intelligent people are religious people because it takes intelligence to look at what's around you and say it ain't no cause. When you're intelligent, you've already been taught. For every effect. Hello? Do they teach that in school? Let me ask. I mean, they stopped teaching that. They didn't stop. Okay. They still teach behind every effect there's a cause. If there's a world, there's a cause. Don't ever think it just happened by accident and not by intent. When Shebra Collins looked at the internal map of your body, what controls every gene, every genetic twist, every action, everything that happens, what determines when the first gray hair come on your chin. I mean, that's what that map does. It studies, it knows where all of that stuff is located. That's what it's about. And that person who was smart enough to work with other scientists to put that together says there's no way to look at this and not believe that there's a God. There is a God. And have you ever noticed that no other God takes credit for what God takes credit for? He's the only God that says in the beginning. God created. Buddha ain't trying to take credit for creating the world. No belief system, no faith system is trying to say we know how it got started. Jehovah, Yahweh, he's the only one who said, I am the beginning. The word that was made flesh was the same word that was in the beginning with G-O-D, with God. Don't buy the lie that intelligent people are not religious. It takes intelligence to look at all the wonderful things God has made. It takes intelligence to look in the mirror and then write, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I didn't just happen. I was created with caution, fearfully. Then I was wonderfully put together. And you around here thinking you fine and such a hunk and a honey and all of this just cause you. Cause your name is what your name. That's some ugly folk with your name. Ain't your name that made you fine as you think you are? You ain't just fine cause you. If you think that, you fine cause God made you like that. And you got to give somebody credit besides the makeup people. The next lie. When people tell you all religions are the same, as long as you're sincere. You ever heard that? A lot of us buy into that. And even the people who buy it have a religion that they ain't sincere about. Come on, talk to me. When you're sincere about your faith happens to you more than when you just in church. No, you live by faith. You walk by faith. You claim by faith. You don't doubt. You believe God by faith. You believe God will avenge. You believe God will revenge. You think God will do everything that needs to be done without you trying to help him, without spreading seeds of discord, without spreading lies, without trying to get your own promotional and marketing kit out in front of the trouble. All religions are not the same. But if you don't read, you'll think that. No matter what church you go to, baby, just go to church. Another lie. They're not similar. Ephesians says this: one Lord, one faith, one baptism. Do you know what that means? There's one way to Christ. If there's only one Lord, if there's only one faith, meaning one teaching that will get you to Jehovah God and to the Father of Jesus Christ, get you to that prepared place, there's one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one covenant with God, one way to follow God, and there's one God to follow. Not a whole group, and either one you choose is good as long as you're sincere. That's another lie. It's a lie. Stop thinking it don't matter whether you go to church or not. Haven't you noticed that the things that make a difference require effort? Why do you think most jobs don't start at 11? Very few people here go to work at noon. Most of y'all don't start school at 10:30. Unless you skipped a couple classes. Anything that's productive requires effort, and it starts early. You can get up at 4:30 in the morning, and there are people on the highway already. You know where they're going? To work. And they're singing, I owe, I owe, I owe. Off to work I go, I go. But Negroes want to have heaven with no effort at all. Your pay don't last a week, and you work all week for that. And you want to get eternity for putting in nothing. A health club membership costs you something, and just to stay healthy while you alive. What about living forever? You know that's going to cost. You got to spend some time to get some muscle. How can you get in heaven for free? All religions, and I'm almost through, are not the same. Just be sincere. Jesus says this, no man can come to the Father. You look it up. Remember the scripture and just find it. Yeah. No man can come to the Father except by me. Because when you see me, says John 14, you see the Father. When you see the Father, you see me. I and my Father are one. Tell me, in what other religion does the founder say me and God are one? No, Muhammad never said I and Allah are one. Got to be somebody who's read a few surahs of the Quran. Surahs are chapters, spelled S-U-R-A. Muhammad doesn't say I and Allah are one. All religions ain't the same. And there's some of you who around quoting that stuff who never bother to respect anything. The only thing you read is stuff to pass. If you ain't got to read it to pass the grade, you ain't reading it. Shame on you, because readers are leaders. And you'll never lead from show and tell days. You're going to lead from being a reader. All religions are not the same, and they don't teach the same thing. For instance, Islam teaches you can only get to paradise through your work and doing X number of good deeds. But the Christianity teaches in Galatians, it's not by works are we saved, but it's by faith are ye saved, and the grace of God are ye saved. You can't cook enough to get saved. You can't come to church once a month enough and sing and get saved. You can't do nothing enough to get saved. You can't pray enough to get saved. You can't have your down home schedule and go to church first and third Sundays or second and fourth and get saved. No, you got to believe to get saved. And when you believe stuff, you act on stuff. If you believe there's a fire in the hall, you're about to leave the building. You're not going to sit here and smell the smoke and believe there's a fire and go, preach, Reb. You're going to go, hey, let's go, Reb. If not, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. When you believe something, you act on it. If you believe a dog's about to bite you, you don't go, come here, boy, come here. Good boy, good boy, good boy. I don't think so. When you believe Christ, you act on it. At a real young age, you figure some of that stuff out. Let me give you an example. Anybody said, if you love me, what you would do? when you believe stuff, you want to act on it. And when people make you believe stuff, you want them to act on it. If you say you love me, we in this together. If you say you love Jesus, how come you can't stand worship? If you say you love God, why you can't pay attention when God is trying to talk to you? If you say you love God, why you can't go out of your way? You want folk to go out of their way if they say they love you. How come I'm trouble? You love me, I ain't supposed to be no trouble. But all of a sudden, God is a lot of trouble. Then one of these sisters called their husband, who's on the way home, passing the store. And they said, stop and get me something. You too much trouble. What? What? Too much trouble? It's too much trouble to pick up your clothes. It's too much trouble to wash. It's too much trouble to cook for you. You want to know what's too much trouble? I can tell you what's too much trouble. I mean, come on. Churches, too much trouble. Every time you turn around, they want Reverend do this and Reverend said do that. I don't know who they think he is. They just do whatever that old man, Negro, tell them to do. That's too much trouble. I can't be sitting up there. I could be making money. I could be da-da-da-da-da. Too much trouble. God can't be too much trouble. I wish you knew the trouble he had keeping you alive. The folk he's had to make their plans fail so you could still be here. People who plotted and connived and conspired and laid traps and entrapments for you, and they did not succeed because God made it so. That was too much trouble for a Negro who won't even pray. But he did it anyway. And now all of a sudden, it's too much trouble to go to church twice on Sunday. Too much trouble to go to prayer service. Too much trouble to study the word. Too much trouble to say amen. Too much trouble to shout. Too much trouble to praise. Too much trouble to get out my seat and shake somebody's hand. Everything is just too much trouble. When you love somebody, you'll do it because you love them. If you love God, it ain't about you. All these feeble excuses for disobedience. Whew. All religions ain't the same. Muslims believe you got to do good deeds. That's why there's so many martyrs, suicide bombers have been taught an errant perspective on the Islamic faith. They believe that killing others can get them to paradise, and with a few virgins thrown in. Not my words, read the Quran. You can't work your way to heaven. Hindus don't believe what Islam believe. Hindus believe in reincarnation. And they figured out if you can come back here 6.8 million times, you'll be perfect. Well, you write this stuff down. I'm trying to give you some information.